This is the Gen 6 Lenovo Legion 5, and I was fortunate enough to get hands-on with it thanks to both Micro Center and AMD, who were nice enough to send it over for me to check out. This laptop is part of Micro Center's Platinum Collection, which is a collection of high-quality, name-brand OEM desktops and laptops that have been hand-selected for great performance at competitive prices. Micro Center actually has exclusive pricing for products in their Platinum Collection. For example, this laptop in its configuration costs $1,300 at Micro Center as of making this video, but if you look over on Lenovo's official website, the same spec laptop costs $1,550. Now this is by no means a cheap laptop. I would consider anything over $1,000 a pretty serious investment, but the specs inside are what help justify the price, because even with its mobile components, it's not too far behind an equivalent desktop of similar specs. So let's check it out and see if this is right for you if you're in the market for a performance laptop and you're working with a budget of around $1,500 or less. Specs wise, the model I have in front of me has a Ryzen 7 5800H 8-core 16-thread processor, a mobile RTX 3060 with 6GB of VRAM, 16GB of DDR4 memory at 3200 MHz, and a 1TB Gen 3 NVMe SSD. The very first thing I checked when I booted in was for any pre-installed bloatware. Doing this, two pieces of software stuck out. The first is Lenovo Vantage, which is the all-in-one app used to monitor and optimize the laptop. This has all the system information. You can change the performance modes, look at battery information, change the keyboard lighting, things like that. This I wouldn't actually consider bloatware, but it is an extra software. But the second piece of software that stuck out on this machine was the McAfee antivirus, which came pre-installed with a 30-day free trial, after which you would have to pay for. Now, I uninstalled that so fast because personally, I just used the built-in Windows virus and threat protection. I haven't had problems with viruses in years. I've never needed like an external antivirus program. In terms of construction, the Legion 5 is completely plastic with a matte finish all around, and the lid as well as the keyboard deck here is a color that they call Phantom Blue, and overall this laptop looks very unassuming. It doesn't look like a gaming laptop at all. For ports, we have a headphone and mic combo jack as well as USB-C on the left side. On the right side, there's a physical webcam enable-disable switch as well as a USB-A port, and on the rear there's an Ethernet port, another USB-C port, USB-A ports, HDMI, and the power connector. I really do like how a lot of the I/O is on the back of the laptop here. It seems like a minor detail, but having had laptops with everything on the sides, anything you plug in can easily get in the way, especially if you're using like an external mouse here, like your thumb drives or external drives and things like that. So these backside ports are definitely appreciated. The keyboard is chiclet style with slightly concave keys. The keys have 1.5mm of travel and they feel nice and firm. Typing on it, I was able to hit speeds consistent with my pace on my personal daily use mechanical keyboard, and there wasn't any noticeable increase in errors. There's multiple lighting modes on the keyboard that you can change with included software, and that ranges from static to breathing, smooth single color transition, wave, etc. The trackpad is buttonless and it's a smooth matte mylar material. It's centered with respect to the spacebar, which is a good natural position, especially if you're typing and tracking with your thumbs. The tracking is smooth and accurate, the clicks feel nice and solid, and the trackpad surface is rigid with no play in it when not intentionally clicking. This is what the laptop's mic sounds like, and this is what the built-in 720p webcam looks like. The sound quality is not the best. It's definitely not going to be as good as a dedicated mic, but I think it's usable. And the webcam quality is not that great when you don't have good lighting. Definitely going to want to light yourself up a little better. Here are two LED tube lights. So with these on now, I think I'm lit up a lot better and the image quality got way better. When you reduce the size of this, it actually doesn't look bad at all. Yeah, once it's shrunken down, I think this is very usable for either streaming or for work calls. The display is a 15.6-inch 1080p 165Hz panel with FreeSync while it's on integrated graphics and G-Sync when it's on discrete. Here's the color gamut results that I got for each color space, and the brightness that I measured was just a hair over 330 nits at max brightness. Opening up this laptop to access the internals is definitely more on the difficult side. It's held together by 10 screws on the back, but after you get those out, you'll then need to undo a bunch of plastic tabs all around the perimeter. This is done by sliding a thin but sturdy pry tool along the edge. But if you're like me and you don't have a specialized tool, then using a plastic card like this one is the next best thing. Just be careful, don't use like an actual credit card that you need. Use a gift card like this Costco gift card, or something that you're going to eventually throw away because it will get chewed up. Under the hood, we have the CPU and GPU cooling fans, each with their own dedicated heat pipe pipe and then a long heat pipe near the top which serves both of them. There's two PCIe Gen 3 M.2 interfaces for storage and two DIMM slots, which the official documentation says the max offering for this laptop is 32 GB. But throwing in a 64 GB kit, I can confirm that this laptop supports at least that. We also see the battery, which this model is 60 watt hours, the wireless card that supports Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.1, and there's two 2-watt down-firing speakers on the sides near the front. They don't sound the best, but they're passable in a pinch. The 60 watt hour battery got me right around 6 hours of watching YouTube with Wi-Fi enabled, screen at half brightness, and hybrid mode as well as quiet thermal modes turned on. Gaming is not pleasant on battery only. The performance drops big time when not plugged in, even if you're set at the highest performance profile. But if you still want to play in those conditions, then I got around 60 minutes on Cyberpunk. And here's the fan noise at idle versus in full performance mode while playing a AAA title that fully stresses both the CPU and GPU. Before I show you the complete suite of benchmarks, I do want to show you a quick comparison between this laptop and a desktop with the closest hardware counterparts, which would be a Ryzen 7 5800X and an RTX 3060 desktop graphics card. Here are the side-by-side Cinebench scores to show the comparison of raw CPU performance. The 5800H scored roughly 14% lower in multi-core and 13% lower in single-core. In 3D Mark CPU profile, it scored 14% lower in the 16-thread test and 12% lower in the single-thread test, which is very much in agreement with the Cinebench performance we just saw. In 3D Mark Firestrike, the graphics score was 9% lower and the overall score was 11% lower. To put things in perspective, the 5800H in this laptop is only a 45 watt processor coming in at less than half the TDP of the desktop 5800X, which is 105 watts at stock. The mobile RTX 3060 in this has a TGP of 130 watts and the desktop variant is 170 watts. This hardware is much lower power consumption and is stuffed in a smaller package. So coming in at 10 to 15% lower performance, I think that's pretty impressive. But now it's time to see how this laptop stands on its own against the variety of tests that I threw at it. For reference, I ran everything at stock, so no overclocks on RAM, CPU, or GPU or anything, and I ran it at the highest power profile. So yeah, sit back, relax, and enjoy the benchmarks. And there you have it. This Lenovo Legion 5, configured with the Ryzen 7 5800H and RTX 3060 mobile, will pretty much handle anything you can throw at it, whether it be gaming, streaming, video, and photo editing. You'll be able to do all of it. Being a laptop though, there is of course the downside of not being able to upgrade much. You're pretty much limited to upgrading the memory and the storage. And after several years, as this starts to show its age, you'll have to replace the entire unit outright. Whereas on a desktop, the argument is you can replace individual components that are starting to show age, and it won't be as expensive. Though I do tend to find that a little bit of a moot point, because oftentimes I see it anyways, like on Twitter and Reddit and stuff, when people don't upgrade for like 4 or 5 years, they just end up building a brand new computer from the ground up anyways, because even by that time, the PSU and the case starts to show its age. But yeah, that's my take on it anyways. Let me know down in the comments though, are you a desktop purist or are you down with the laptops too? And if you are a desktop purist, has the shortage in graphics cards this last year made you consider laptops more since they are more readily available? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me though. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it either helpful, entertaining, useful, all the above. I want to give a huge shout out to Micro Center and AMD again for sending this out for me to make this video on. And I want to thank you all as always for watching and continue to support the channel. Take care out there, and I will see you down in the comments as well as in the next video. Bye.